Hey, we are live on Facebook. Thank you everybody for coming and for submitting some of your questions in advance. We're going to take some questions from the ones that were submitted. We're going to take some questions as they come in live. I am Sharilyn. You'll hear my voice asking the questions as we go. But instead of seeing me, might as well show you the person that you came to chat with. Here's Kurt.
Trying to get comfortable. All right, now I'm comfortable.
There we go. Hello. Oh, welcome. Oh, very relaxed.
Comfortable.
Big question from a lot of people. Most importantly, Bonnie Tackaberry is asking, how did you celebrate your birthday?
Quietly. Hi, Bonnie. I turned 54 very quietly at the lake with family, and my request was peace and quiet. Just peace and quiet. So there was lots of that. Turned off the phone. Tons of, I think, 700 or 800 messages on Facebook, Tina told me, and I got 50 or 60 texts. An amazing outpouring of hi, how the heck are you? And your mom did a great job 54 years ago kind of stuff. And so I didn't answer any of those really. I just kind of took the day off and then twisted my ankle about 8 o'clock at night outside. So I've been kind of nursing that a little bit, but other than the slight twist of an ankle, it was a perfect birthday.
Nice. Hisaka Mori says happy birthday as well. So there's 801. How have you and your family been spending your time during this pandemic? Have your kids been doing schoolwork via Zoom classes like the rest of ours?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, my kids they're both in the same school. And so they got up and were on school online at 8:40 in the morning and ended at 3:30. And lunch seemed to be at a different time every day. So I was like juggling when to have lunch ready, and then prepared for the onslaught if it wasn't tasty enough. Not a good cook, but yeah, a lot of time spent just in front of the computer and dealing with not much motivation. I mean, the teachers don't know how far they can push it, and the grades weren't worth as much, and so it was kind of hard to keep them motivated. And it seemed like near the end of the school, both kind of picked up their game and studied a bit more and ended kind of strong. We've been around the house, not doing too much of anything. I've been organizing photos, Tina's, Debbie's, everybody's, and just trying to figure out how to take a very great and wonderful and happy long career encapsulated into boxes and albums and something that's realistic. So that's basically, I've been doing that for 2 or 3 hours a day at least.
Wow. So when all this started, as we say, but when lockdown became a thing in Canada that weekend, you were in Victoria to do some club shows and not quite knowing if they'd go ahead. What were those few days like leading up to that, and what was it like for the kids that you were scheduled to skate with?
Yeah, it was really weird because we just didn't know what we were stepping into at the time, and it would have been really easy to just sort of, it was suggested that people shouldn't gather over 500 back then. I think it was just 500, and we're like, well, maybe we could do the 6 or 7 shows and only let in 500 at a time. And I said, well, then people are going to be fighting because they don't want to come back for another show that's on Wednesday when they had one on Saturday. I mean, all sorts of ideas were thrown out until finally I was like, look, we're going to be held accountable for things that happen if we don't take the advice of the government. And so I kind of myself put my foot down and said no. So we did a dress rehearsal, as dressy as we could, and parents were invited. So we had 150 parents sporadically spread about the audience, and we did that show that night, and we celebrated and shook hands, and I left early. I left all my outfits there, so I don't have my clown outfit. When I did the Zoom thing with Caitlin Weaver, I didn't have my clown outfit, so I was improvising, because everything is in Victoria waiting for us to redo this show someday. That may or may not have been a good idea, but that's where all my outfits are right now, waiting.
Well, hopefully you get a chance to do it.
Yeah, we will. We'll do it. Because dear old friend Dina Woodley, and we want to make sure that show gets done.
Right. So speaking of things that are being, moved around and such, how did you get asked to do Prism on Ice? And are you a Sailor Moon fan? That's from Sarah Dostal.
No, I think it's kind of cool, but I've never really watched it, so I really wanted to just be a part of the cast and work with Lissa and Jeremy's not a part of it, but Yuka, and just sort of get back to Japan some way, somehow. And I kind of thought that it was going to be a character role. So we haven't really fleshed out what my role was going to be or will be or would be. But it was just kind of like, can I come play? It was just put up my hand and say, I'd like to be a part of this. And so hopefully still it will happen like everything else.
So, and again, on the theme of cancellations, Tina has a question about,
I mean,
might as well get the cancellations out of the way. With the cancellation of Worlds and other competitions and all the interruptions of on-ice training and disrupting the training and planning of the athletes, are there any plus sides or advantages to that? You think any, like mentally, or the resilience of that, or reassessing priorities?
Not for me personally, because I take big breaks every summer, almost every summer anyway. So this is not so unusual for me personally, but for the world of skating, I think that we've all learned through Zoom chats with lots and lots of kids that this is an opportunity for students of all sorts of ages to really buckle down and kind of change the machine that they used to skate with, their engine, their body. So a lot of the skaters have hopefully come around to the idea that, look, I can take all the energy that I was using at the rink, and I can learn how to exercise, and I can learn how to meditate, and I can learn how to dance, take dance classes online in your living room. Nobody's stopping anybody from doing that. So I know at least a couple of skaters who stepped back on the ice and were very pleasantly surprised that the 10 to 12 weeks off really wasn't a big impact on them because they worked so hard physically. So to divert your attention from putting all your energy to the ice and this much energy into working out, to putting that much energy into working out and then coming back on the ice, a better, stronger athlete. So I hope that that's what lots of people have done. And maybe injury, healing too, just staying at home and, not pounding that shin splint or whatever, backache or whatever it might be.
Mm-hmm. Which leads into another question that Hisaka Mori asked. Do you have a message for all the Olympic hopefuls who were training for the summer 2020 games?
Oh, good luck. I mean, those kind of things are very hard to say something that everyone else wouldn't say. You've got this, stay in there. The reality is, it sucks. It just sucks. Like when your country boycotts an Olympics and you can't go, when there's a pandemic and you can't go, it just sucks. But maybe, and another thing you said, what's good things that come out of this pandemic is appreciation for being able to hug your family, hang out with your friends, appreciation for being able to walk into a store and buy a pair of jeans, get a haircut, not mine, not my problem, but a lot of other people. And I think that also appreciation of being able to simply have the freedom to compete and do the sport that you love. So coming back from all this and having to hopefully just postpone the Olympics will build appreciation for most of the athletes. For some of them, 2020 is when they were going to win. And when 2021 comes around, some of them are not going to be the same athlete. They're going to have been hurt. They're a year older. Someone else learned a lot in that last year and just sort of, jumped leapfrog over top of them. So yeah, it'll change the results for sure. But, it'll still be the Olympic Games, and hopefully most of them will have the results or at least the not expectations, the experience that they were looking for from the Olympic Games.
Great.
That was deep. The heck. That was a tough question. What the heck?
Okay, here's an easier one.
Is there any way I can see you in the corner instead of two of me? I'm literally looking at my little screen, and one of me is hard to look at, but two of me, yeesh. So if you can fix that, great. If not, then it'll feel like I'm talking to you instead of chatting with me.
Well, I think everybody on Facebook wants to see you more than they want to see me.
No way. All right, fine.
So easier question from April Cargard Mearsman. What is the best part of growing up in Caroline?
I guess it was easy. Growing up in a really small town where the population of the town doubled at 9 o'clock in the morning when school started was easy. You knew everybody. you could knock on any door and ask for 25 cents to call your mom and come pick you up, from home, like whatever. It was just, you knew everybody and you knew their dog. So I think that was the best part of growing up in a small town, was the lasting friendships, and the ease at which we were brought up. It was, nowadays the kids are pounded in the face every day with light and electricity and stimulus and too much knowledge for a young brain. I don't like it, but it's just the way it is. So I think that was the best part. I grew up on the farm. I did not grow up in or what we call the town kids. I grew up on the farm. So summers were spent making tree forts and rafts and swimming and tubing down the river and just being like Huck Finn and Tom Sawyer. Ooh, forgot the other guy's name.
So from April Joy Steele, did you always want to skate, or did your parents suggest it first?
I grew up without, the arena in town had no rink, had no cover, it had no roof, it had no way to protect it from the elements. And right about when I was 8 or 9 is when they put a ceiling on top of the outdoor rink. And all of a sudden we had access to a lot more ice, and all of a sudden we had a figure skating club and hockey teams were being formed, and the society that always grows around an arena just blossomed. And so all the kids were figure skating, and I'm just one of the ones of the boys that didn't quit. I just really liked it. So my parents didn't suggest it. They encouraged it, and they encouraged everything. We played baseball, I played badminton for my school, I played hockey. We were always in the station wagon driving hours and hours to play some other team. Towns were so spread out, and my parents were, 99% of the time, two of the guaranteed parents that would always be there, and have 8 kids in the back of the car. So it was pretty great to have those two people as cheerleaders and taxi drivers and bankers and fiscal supporters of everything that I wanted to do. And figure skating just happened. It just happened.
And so Diane Gill Butler is asking, do either of your boys love figure skating, or is hockey preferred? And we've got a similar question. Marlene Burton wants to know, are your boys interested in skating? Will you perform as a family again if the opportunity arises?
The family thing probably won't happen because the guy who created that show isn't doing it anymore, Steve Distance. So that was a pretty special show for everybody to watch and to kind of see, what had happened to your favorite skater and what they seemed like as parents. It was a very special show. I don't think it's going to happen again. Dylan, the youngest, skated for a while. He doesn't skate anymore, and so he's 12. He quit probably last summer. And it was mostly just like, he just didn't really, he knew he wasn't going to want to compete. He wasn't that interested in passing a test. He just kind of liked going to the rink. So now he and I find times to skate together, and we just have fun. So I told him once he started doing his double jumps that he would know what jumping feels like, and then he would really have an idea of what figure skating could be. And if the bug caught him, then great. And if not, then it was up to him. And so he chose not to do it anymore. So it was fun. It was fun to watch him learn how to skate and to learn how to, fall and to spin, and he's such a good dancer. No shock there. But his programs were really, really, really fun to watch. So he would have been something kind of special, but it's got to come from the skater. So he doesn't skate anymore.
Pat Nodden wants to know, I have often wondered if you've ever had to go out and perform with very little preparation, sort of make it up as you go.
What was her name?
Pat Nodden.
Pat Nodden. I think I know you, Pat, and you know better. I'm hardly ever prepared. It happens. Of course it happens. It used to happen a lot back in, I guess, the 90s, early 2000s, something, when I was doing all sorts of shows and competitions, professional competitions, where the networks were demanding that you had never been seen anywhere on the planet doing this program before, which means I was doing anywhere from 6, 7, 8 programs to 11, 12, or 13 programs a year. And then even Stars and Ice was kind of like, hey, you're doing 75 cities with us. We want to bring something new. Or if there was a hit that you had, then we went ahead and did that. So for sure, there was times where you just showed up at the Country Western show with a program that was not ready. And I competed once in the country western number to Core Blund, and that program was a lot of fun, but I just wore a pair of jeans that I hadn't really tried. And as I skated, they slowly sank down until I couldn't lift my legs, and I was missing jumps and missing steps, and it was really unfortunate. So yeah, that never would have happened if I would have been more prepared. So it does happen sometimes, not too much.
Kimmy Lou is asking.
Good to hear from you, Pat, by the way. Hope you're doing well.
Sorry,
good to hear Pat, and I hope she's doing well.
Oh, good. Kimmy Lou is asking, how does it feel to know you've inspired so many others to skate?
Feels great, but I mean, I was just thinking back to Steve Allen in the Rocky Mountain House Figure Skating Club, and Marvin Trimble and Caroline Figure Skating Club. Like, there's always somebody, Tyler Cranston on TV, Brian Orser, there's always somebody to inspire everybody, and hardly anybody comes out of a void and just becomes something. They are inspired by people. And then we had a club carnival once, and somebody, I don't remember his name, but he came, I think he did a double axel. I don't remember what he did, but he did really cool jumps, and he was flashy, and we all were crammed up to the boards to watch our guest skater. He was very inspiring to see somebody not on television doing those kind of things, because all of a sudden it was real, it was achievable, it was reachable, tangible. It was something that you could actually do. On television, it's all fake and they're superheroes, and it's not real. You know it's really happening, but there's something that glass screen just makes it not real. But when he came to my club, he made it real for me. So yeah, I really hope that getting to small clubs and skating in front of people in person is touching people way better than you do on television. And so yeah, obviously it's always great to be inspiring in a positive manner, and we all try our best to do that.
And that leads into Krista Hewitt's question. Considering that there are no live shows right now, would you ever consider doing another TV special?
TV specials are tough too. We're having trouble leapfrogging rules to make sure that we can do Battle of the Blades, which is essentially a TV special where the hockey players are gifted a figure skater, and they compete as a team, just in case you hadn't seen Battle of the Blades. And we're going to go ahead and try to film it, but it's hard. I mean, the rules with trying to film and do interviews and work around, and it's interesting that it's more difficult than you would think. So no, I haven't thought of doing a TV special in a long time. The draw for TV specials is not what it used to be, and I don't know. No, I just haven't thought about it. It's interesting, but not for a long time.
Tina is asking, what was your favorite Gotta Skate or favorite memories from the Gotta Skate shows?
The Gotta Skate shows I kind of got reacquainted with because I've been going through all these photos, and I'll talk to Tina because I'm short on Gotta Skate pictures. I thought I threw a really good party for Brian Boitano in Hamilton, and we had Sharilyn and Lloyd and Izza, and we had all sorts of really cool skaters, Todd and Jenny, Todd Eldridge, I think. We had just a great cast, but Brian Boitano, we called him Mr. Big, or the Boss, I can't remember his nickname. But if you looked at that show, I thought that it was a lot of fun, and I thought that his character was really great. And I think he had a lot of fun skating that one. I had my, whatever hair I had, dyed yellow. Just a great show. But skating live with Ed Robertson and Big Mike, talking to Ed Robertson from the Bare Naked Ladies as he performed at the other end of the rink, and we could talk to each other while skating. He had no lyrics to sing, so it was just music. That was a very cool memory. Sonia dancing with Alex was great. Edwin was great. We had Michael Bublé, Michael Bolton. I fell in front of Michael Bolton, and we had to get him to start a song over again, and I was hoping we weren't paying him by the minute, because that would have blew the budget. Just a great show that brought on all sorts of challenges. Get a chance to push yourself creatively and work with so many different skaters over those years. So good memories for sure.
Good. And I'll just say, people watching, or have you heard you mention Tina a few times? She's helping with the admin of this chat right now, and is a wonderful photographer as well. So you have many, many photos from her. So when people are like, who's Tina? You can find her photos online. They're wonderful.
Kurt Files.
Yes. So you've got a lot of questions coming in about touring more, particularly in the US. So Julie Mills, Greg Weaver, Maria Delascio, and other people are asking, will you ever tour again in the US?
I got fired from Stars US. I don't quite know how that happened. I was kind of just told that I guess I'm not doing US anymore. And then with that, I guess US is tied with Japan. So I'm not so sure that I'm doing Stars in the US anymore. And then all of a sudden we dipped down into the US and I'm doing Stars and Ice Show. So you never say never. You know, it wasn't my choice. I don't like saying the word retire ever because it confuses people. I'm retiring from this, but not from that. So I didn't really like that ended up happening. But it seems like the door's open a little bit again, and who knows? Touring in the United States, as far as Stars and Ice is concerned, is difficult. It's just they're having trouble getting traction with the brand, and not getting to do as many cities, certainly. And you know, I'm not Canadian, and so it's, you know, we got, as long as Nathan is skating, I think there's a chance there's a tour, and who knows if you get invited. Probably not. You know, I think that every year I kind of reevaluate whether or not I do even Stars Canada anymore, and it's a body thing and a mind thing, and I was ready to go in 2020, and when 2021 comes around, I'll need to make that decision at some point to give him time, Byron Allen at IMG, time to, you know, fill my spot or to save it for me, assuming that I'll get invited back, but I probably will. We'll see.
So Agnes, I'm going to butcher your last name, pardon my French, Grenouille. Except your two sons, what are you most proud of?
I suppose if you're talking skating, it's turned out that it's the longevity of my career. It's just been such a gift to not only make a living this long doing what you love, but just to have, like you mentioned, Gotta Skate, and you know, just a flood of like really cool memories. Or I go onto YouTube looking for something and I'll find, I forgot I did that, and I forgot I did that, and how many wonderful experiences that I've had. So I think it's the longevity that I'm very proud of, the being able to do so many Stars and Ice shows and you know, be consistent and show up and perform no matter what, and no matter my age. So that makes me props, man. That makes me really proud.
Michael Carbonaro is asking.
Hey, a guy.
Yeah, there's been a couple of guys here. Who is your pick for the men's gold medal in Beijing, Nathan or Yuzu?
It's got to be Nathan. I mean, he's just so crazy calm. He's just, you can see it in his eyes. He literally is not only calm, but he's having fun. Yuzu is kind of like a sports car. He's a really high-end sports car, and you put that car in the right environment on the right track, and it's astounding. But you put just some wobbles on the track and a little bit of gravel, and all of a sudden that car is dangerous. So I find that Yuzu is superhuman on the ice as well. They're both beyond my expectations of what people should be able to do. And they're both so much fun to watch for different reasons. I think Nathan has a little rock star in him, but Yuzu is a rock star on the ice. But I just think that Nathan's versatility and his consistency are making him right now unbeatable. I just feel that he can step on the ice and produce a different feel and then a different look from his skating style, and that Yuzuru would have more trouble doing that, being able to have a short that looks very different than the long. And for me, versatility has always been something that I look for in the longevity and the overall who's the best for a skater. And right now I think Nathan has the consistency, the calm, the body that doesn't seem to be injured, and the versatility.
Okay. Lori Elliott asks, what is your favorite performance that you do?
I mean, I could go into specifics, but I kind of enjoy performances that are half for me and half for the audience. That I have had ones where I'm thinking, I'm really doing this, at least 80% just for me. I kind of know that I chose this to, you know, tickle a fantasy that I had about my own skating, or an itch that I've had for a while. But the best is when you really feel like everybody is having fun, that you've chosen a piece of music and a choreography and something that is humming with the audience and that you're really excited about too. And that's the best. So usually comedy, lightheartedness, being able to do those competitions where we were like ice wars and stuff like that, where we had big screens that were showing the skate as well. Like, I mean, huge screens at the end of the rink. And then with the TV network, you would introduce yourself on the screen, or somebody would introduce you, and there was interactivity, but it was kind of improv. Like, that's the kind of stuff that makes me really, really happy. And of course, doing clown work and something with a hat. I just love the idea that you can act as a skater. And this sport, I think that's probably one of the reasons why I just love it so much, is that you can really create a scenario that isn't you. You know, it takes facets of yourself and parts of your personality and mingles it with some new music and a different choreographer and creates something that's, you know, a different version of yourself. I tell kids all the time, when you're standing at center ice, you're not really standing there as yourself. You're standing there as a performer, and that's kind of like this wonderful protective shield around you that you can put up and then perform within. And that's why the sport rocks. It's just so versatile, as well as physical and musical and creative, engaging. It's fun.
Mm-hmm. We've gotten a few questions from people who have their own like personal favorite programs that are maybe not considered your most iconic ones. How do you decide what programs you bring back? Because I know people always say to you, oh, are you ever going to do this one again? Are you ever going to do that one again? What do you consider? I know you're doing Ding Dong Daddy again this year, which is...
Yeah, I was going to try, yeah. It's hard. Well, okay, that decision is based on what I want to do. Because I might see it on YouTube and go, well, it looked like fun, or it looked like I enjoyed doing that, or I remember how much I enjoyed it. And I haven't done it in 22 years, and I don't think that many people saw it anyways, or whatever. So I justify somehow wanting to bring it back, and then can I bring it back? Am I physically able? Is there too many elements in there that I have to pull out because I can't do them anymore? So then it's too watered down, and then I have to wash it. And then should I bring it out? So do I want to? Can I? And then should I? Because not everything is easy to do. You're 33 or 32 doing a number, and then when you're 52, that's not the same person. So not all programs are available to me to do. So that's how I do it. And I never really thought that I would be bringing back old programs, but I'll be honest, I do enjoy doing it. It's like visiting an old friend, because the audience sees it for 3 minutes, but I work on it for 3 weeks or 2 months or whatever it is. And so it's kind of like hanging out with an old friend and going back in time a little bit and seeing if the outfit still fits.
We did get someone asking, Diana DeScherer asking, do you still have, aside from the ones in Victoria, do you still have all of your skating costumes?
Yeah. Hold on.
Oh.
Yeah. All right. Can I switch the screen to face the other way? I can, right? All right, here goes.
Yeah.
These are boxes filled with stuff that I have to eventually get through. These are the props from Stars and Ice when we had the plans for in Supertramp. So these are the plans that are now dust covers. And this is a cape that's going to be in a show future-wise. All right, so then when you take this off, reveal. So yeah, I still got costumes. Like, seriously, lots of costumes. So there's my pimp one, stepping out, like I'm Yours is in there. This was Dylan Moskovich and Jeff's one was, here we go. That one's an oldie but a goodie. Long program from 91, I think. An old Casablanca remake. There's the duo outfit from Battle of the Blades. Scarecrow, the Scott Hamilton remake, Sharilyn Bourne duet, Wish I Was Skater, short program from 1989, practice outfit. Here's Dylan's brick house outfit, cute. So, I mean, like, this is from, like, I practiced in that in 91. Like, so all this stuff is it's all here. And then these are all pants. Those are all just, that whole rack is all pants. So yeah, I've got quite the yard sale coming to me someday. Definitely.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so that was a little tour of all the costume. And it's amazing that I'll go underneath those stairs every once in a while and just, what still fits. And, I can, I've mixed and matched many, many times and been able to sort of recreate new looks from old looks. So that's kind of fun. I don't know what I'm going to do with them when I'm done skating. Something.
Aaron DeVore is asking, how did you handle criticism during your competitive career, especially when the pressure was at its highest?
There wasn't a lot because it wasn't the same. It wasn't like Gabby Daleman going online every day or any of the young skaters. I just know that Gabby skates with me now, and so I hear it, and she's like, this is what this person's saying, and it gets to these skaters. Caitlin Osmond gets stuff. And we didn't get it. We got the big blast from the newspaper, right? So the headlines were tough, and everybody saw the headline, and everyone read the article, and so in a way, it was tougher in that very few people decided your outcome. And if the people who were writing in the newspapers, who didn't necessarily understand the sport, wrote a certain thing, that was it. That's who you were. And there was no rebuttal, no way to come back. Whereas nowadays, of course, there's all sorts of ways to defend yourself. But I still think that it's harder now. The hardest for me was the first year, I think, that I was a world champion, and I was injured and had bad back, and I was very lost. I really didn't know how to be a world champion, and I was being careful and skating careful and not having any success anywhere. Kind of forgot how to even tie my own skates up, and the media was hard, really hard. It was like, what did I do to you? So it was motivating, but it was tough because we even competed less. So it spiked so high, and then nothing. You had nothing to say, and you stayed on whatever. You were either a hero or an idiot for a long time until the next opportunity. And so I feel like it's just different. And I think you just yearned. How do I deal with it? You just yearned for the next chance to get on the ice and try to make them write something that was nicer. Just hungry and get back on the ice and show them what you really were made of.
Norm Sherb is asking, why do you think figure skating has nosedived in network ratings compared to when you competed as an amateur? Do you think the loss of the 6.0 marking system was a marketing blunder by the ISU?
Well, I think that the ISU had to do something, and what they did brought a lot of great things to the sport. A much higher level of fairness. When I competed, just a quick history lesson, if you weren't in the top 2 going into the long program, you really lost so much control of your destiny. You just, if the guy who was in first came second, even if you won by 30 points or whatever it was, you were still second. It wasn't right. And so I think this sport is better now because of that. I love that you're in 8th place going into long and you can win it. Like, you can win it. You can be only 1 point off first place and be in 12th place, because that's just how close the competition was. And so this is a much better system, let's face it. It's forced skaters to be better. But what I don't like about it is that there is a lot of replication in how the skaters read the rules and then apply them to especially things like spins and footwork. And so, and they're really busy in between the elements. So chances of just like Casablanca, where I casually walked heel toe, and flicked a fake cigarette, like that, to find the time to do that is tough. So the individuality is tough, and I think that's where we are having trouble with getting new people to watch the sport, because I guess there's a sameness. To answer your real question, did the 6.0 going away mess things up for the sport? And I said, yeah, a little bit, because I know that our moms would sit there and judge and be involved and participate in the sport, because they knew that skater was a 5'6" or a 5'7", and then they would argue about what it was, and they were right. Marks would come up, and there would be a 5'5" and a 5'8", but mostly 5'6" and 5'7", as in we knew the sport. But now, to sit at home and actually judge it with the 2 foot and under tuck, and just, it's so complicated that people sit back and then they go get a sandwich because they know that it's 2 minutes until the next skater. Like, they don't participate. They come in, watch, and then leave. And I don't feel the same intensity as, especially in North America. I think in Asia it's working. So yeah, I miss the 6.0. I miss the romance of it. But I think the sport's healthier, and that's good. So how was that for a beige answer? It was a little bit of everything, but that's how I feel.
Great. We got this question.
What's wrong with beige?
There you go. Looking good. We got this question from, perfect. Got this question from two people. Agnes is asking, and Paul Green is asking, do you go horseback riding?
No, I haven't been on a horse for years, like years. Since the horses on the farm went away, I haven't been on a horse. I took my eldest son, I guess, horseback riding a long time ago, and haven't been back on a horse since. So that's got to happen, because it was a part of how I grew up. You know, saddling up a horse and just going for a ride for fun was a part of, you know, living on the farm. So I miss it.
Melinda,
assuming they asked that question because they probably have been on horses themselves, maybe.
Melinda Lingstead Bauman is asking, can you watch your old programs and appreciate them, or do you spot mistakes or things you wish you would have done differently?
I generally watch the amateur programs, and very rarely am I just blown away. I'm usually thinking, like, how simple was the footwork, how simple was the spins. That's, of course, comparing them a little bit to watching all the skaters nowadays, but my potential was so much more, and I just didn't know that I could be much better. You know, people say, well, I would have done a quad back in 88 too. And it's like, well, evolution works slowly. And so something has to happen. I saw Brian Boitano do it, or I wouldn't have tried it. So I watched those amateur programs, and I think that's kind of messy, and I wish I hadn't made that mistake. It wasn't very rarely like really wonderful skates. Then I watched my professional ones, and of course there's retakes and stuff, but even the competitive amateur one and the professional ones, I'm kind of blown away by how aggressive I was, and hopefully still am a little bit, but I was with footwork and energy and creativity too, that it wasn't, not very often did I just do, here's some music, here's some steps, go. So I'm very proud of that, and I find myself very entertained by watching lots of my old programs. And it feels good. It feels good to know that I love the sport that much, and I love the audience that much, and I love doing it that much that I took those extra steps and risks.
Great. Romain Gazaev asks, out of all the choreography you've done for other skaters in shows and competitions, which ones did you enjoy the most doing or have the best memories of?
Choreographing for other people. Gosh. Carolina Costner was one of the first people that I worked with, and she had such success with my work. That was nice. Brian Joubert became a world champion with my long program, and that was tough working with him. It was tough to get it to where it needed to be, but it felt good to watch somebody use your knowledge to become a world champion. That was a pretty cool moment. But Jeremy Abbott, I liked working with him. And I didn't know that he was as good as he was until I got on the ice with him, and then I realized, oh my gosh, this guy is an amazing, stellar skater and performer. And Blade Titian, just made that up. And I think that I have a new number with Caitlin Osmond that's coming out. That's a really interesting bit of choreography, because we have a dancer working with us as well. Anyways, when you see it, it's going to be mostly inspired by her. And I think that feels good to be the kind of choreographer that and Sandra Bezic told me, she said, when you start choreographing, everyone looks like you. And then eventually, if you keep working at it, everyone will look like the way they should look. And right now, I'm starting, if I'm working with somebody, I feel like I'm giving them something that they need, not what I would do to that music. And that's a good evolution of a choreographer. So wait for if you see Caitlin Osmond with a bat, not a flying bat, a real baseball bat, I did that one with help.
Okay. Um, Lori Nickel, and this is Nickel with 2 L's, which skaters have you connected with the most and count among your longtime inner circle?
I go back a long way for that inner circle with Cameron Medhurst, Norm Proft, Mike Slipchuk, almost anybody from Edmonton those days. Those are my go-to guys. If I have a really, really tough day, if something really bad happens, I would phone one of them and expect the same from them. And I feel like younger skaters, like Nam and I have a weird little relationship, but Nam is friendly with everybody. But Nam is super cool, and I get a kick out of hanging out with him. And lately, Elvis and I have kind of got to know each other a lot better. So Elvis Stoico, of course, and he and I had a ton of respect for each other and enjoyed each other's company back in the day when we were competing against each other and we would tour together. But then he went Tom Collins' route and I went Stars and Ice route. And we didn't really see each other that much until recently when we've been touring together on Stars and Ice. And we've had great conversations and rehashing competitions and getting into really life stuff. And so I've enjoyed connecting with him a lot.
Kelly McTaggart is asking, for someone who skated as a youth and just took it up again at age 40, do you have any advice? Which is also relevant to me because I just admitted to you recently that age 40, I was like, I should actually try to learn to skate. So please, I'll take any advice you can give for my situation or for Kelly.
All right, well, first off, congratulations, because I think it's, unlike golf, unfortunately, gravity is looming everywhere. So it takes a good measuring of logic with learning how to skate at a later age, or even just continuing to skate at an elder statesman age. And I think that the idea is to build a base. And I've been working at the Granite Club with mature skaters and really enjoying the idea of building somebody up from the beginning, not to jump and spin and compete, but just to enjoy and love and appreciate the glide. And so I think that it's really being able to have patience. Oh, low battery. Oh my gosh, I might have to, oh, I'm back. I might have to actually take a break and go find an extension cord, but I'll be as quick as I can if I have to do that. Anyways, I think that my big advice is that once you have a base and once you're like stepping right and left and putting your body weight over your feet and you're feeling like you're thinking more about the skating than you are the falling, then it's time to start skating like a skater and not skating like someone who's expecting to fall. And when we're working with Cirque du Soleil, we had to take gymnasts and we had to take musicians and teach them how to skate very quickly. And then I realized at a certain point, I'm like, okay, today's the day we're done skating carefully. Today you're going to go skate because you're a skater. You're not somebody who's walking on the ice anymore, you're gliding. So now we're going to transfer your weight over your foot left and right, and you're going to do it with confidence. So that's my advice, is to at a certain point when you have a good base, be a skater and start skating, because staying cautious is going to keep you flatlined and your improvement is going to be so slow. But if you start really thinking of yourself as a skater and not as somebody who might fall at any second, then you're going to improve. And you'll be safer because, I don't know, I think stiff knee, careful skating, it doesn't work at the Olympics and it doesn't work at home.
Yeah. Do you want to go grab your cord and I'll
turn on my eyes and then see how my battery's doing. All right, where's the battery? All right, quick as a wink, I'll be back.
Okay.
Talk among yourselves.
I'll fill some I'll fill some time by talking. I don't know if anyone on Facebook can see me or not, but as someone who also started learning to skate at 40, hey, there I am. Yeah, everything that Kurt says is true. The thing that slows me down the most is being scared of falling. I had a very scary fall in class number 2, and thankfully I was wearing a helmet. So, you know, it's when they say never too late, I mean, it's never too late to enjoy it, I guess. So I definitely don't regret starting at 40, even though I'm terrible and may continue being terrible. So hopefully Kurt isn't going to be too much longer, but we'll keep going. Thank you everyone for your questions. We still have more time to go, but we are not going to get to everyone's questions, I'm afraid, because they are coming in fast and furious. And hopefully we'll do this again sometime. Oh, I hear a bang. I hear a bang. I think he's back.
Okay, now we can talk all day.
Excellent, all day. Okay.
Thanks for, it wouldn't be a talk with me if something didn't go wrong. Okay, I'm back.
Okay. So, Vicky Kaluger says, what made you decide to want to be a pro skater rather than becoming a figure skating coach?
Oh, the money. Yeah. It's a hard audience when you can't hear anybody or see anybody. But there was, I mean, that's the joke answer, but it's a good one. But let's face it, I'm a performer. There was, as long as my body was willing and the heart was willing, and people were picking up the phone and calling me, I was going to be a performer. Staying at home and teaching, it wasn't even an idea. To be honest, I've never really thought of being a coach. I just said I love teaching the adults and showing them how to skate, but to get somebody to that point from like a kid to Canadian champion, it just doesn't interest me. The consistency of it doesn't interest me. I want to travel, I want to perform. So I've never really been coach material. I like coming in and inspiring. I love seminars. I would love to consult all over the world. I think I'm going to be trying to go to Andorra and teaching in August if they're open, and starting to do things like that. I love teaching. I love the sport. I do not want to coach. Just it's not in my DNA.
Question.
Plus, I don't think I'd be a good coach. I really don't.
Why wouldn't you be a good coach?
Because it's consistency. Like, you know, being able to format a plan that's really long and drawn out. I like coaching Patrick Chan and fixing his quad, because you have to say a little thing and then it's fixed. I mean, it's kind of like instant. It's fast food for figure skating. You know, he's someone else's base, put all that base, and then on a certain Tuesday in Winnipeg, he's having trouble, and you just say one thing and then you feel like a superhero. When you get used to coaching the best in the world, I don't know how to teach a double sow. So I do seminars, and I usually teach the axle, and I don't do jumps as much as I used to, because my seminars are mostly built on skating and enjoyment of skating and self-worth. That's mostly what my seminars are about. So even in my seminars, I'm teaching jumping even less. So I don't really want to coach as much as inspire.
Okay. Question from our friend Sachi Aoki. Sorry, what was that?
That was just a very interesting, very good question.
Yeah, it was a good question. One from our friend Sachi Aoki. Please name one program originally by any female skater which you'd like to copy or interpret.
Oh my God, what a great question. Everybody take a break. Where do you start thinking? How about Debbie Thomas doing Wanda? So you would have to Google Debbie Thomas at the World Championships, I think in '88. That was one place where she did her exhibition number, where she performed as a clown character-ish person. She was a figure skater who wore a ballerina tutu and chewed a huge wad of gum, and she was so funny. So check out Debbie Thomas in '88 doing Wanda, and I would love to tutu and the whole thing to do that. And so that's mine, because that would be fun. Yeah, that's a good answer. What a great question, Sachi.
Wow. Robin Rotis asks, if you could change something about the competitive world of skating, what would it be?
Well, I think the thing that's been bugging me lately has been slightly taken care of, and that's if you do a triple axel, triple toe, and a triple toe, that the two triple toes were worth the same. And now that's been dealt with a little bit in factoring and, you know, calculus and math and trigonometry. But I think I kind of still wish it was just more obvious. I just wish that there was a way that if you did a triple toe with a triple axel or a quad toe triple axel, or sorry, quad toe triple toe, it should be rewarded, because it is in respect, but somehow not as much as I would like on paper. That was something, but it's also being taken care of. So that's pretty cool. Right now, the quads, the loop, nuts, and flip are being sort of equalized. That's an interesting thought, and I'm not necessarily against that. I just think the sport is trying its very best to keep up to the skaters, to keep them safe, to keep the competitions realistic, to keep it figure skating and not figure jumping. And it's really tough. It's really tough for them to do it. But you know, hopefully they've got lots of people down there that at the ISU that love the sport and are doing their best to keep it good for the athletes.
Megan Freeman asks, how much practice did it take to be able to be on the ice with your blade guards on? If anyone hasn't seen Slippery Side Up, go and search YouTube for Slippery Side Up. It's very scary.
It did take practice, and I'll try to keep the story short, but back in Rocky Mountain House when I was 12, 13, 14, 15 years old, we did something called patch, which was basically the figures on the ice. So they took the ice and they divided it into 24 sections, and then they spun the wheel and your name was on the wheel, and then they stopped it and they pinned it, and wherever they pinned it, that's the patch you had. So sometimes the patch in the corner was really crappy, the patch in the middle had good lighting, and we all shared where to go. So once I saw the number, I would jump onto the ice with my guards and try to slide and stop right on my patch. And that was a game I played every time we did figures, which did two things. It taught me how to skate on my guards, and two, it made me the first person on patch every time. Otherwise I wasn't allowed to do it. And also the jump, like literally the step down to the ice in Rocky Mountain House used to be like this high. So I would run and jump and land and slide. So unless I got patch one, which was right there, so I would just step on the ice and go, hey, I made it. That's where I learned how to do it. So it made patch fun, it got me on time, and it taught me a trick that I could use later on in my clown stuff. And also brand new guards have a 90-degree edge, like the really sharp edge, and you're either on it or you're off of it. Whereas old guards have a more rounded edge, so you have to have an old pair of guards so they have a rounded edge, I think. Then you can do all sorts of fun stuff. That's a secret, so don't tell anybody.
So Kristen Nieder is asking, will you be writing any more children's books? And Connie Redmond Vavosa is asking, ever considered writing another autobiography?
The children's book thing, I did have an idea and wrote it down, and I don't know, it just kind of went away. So I had thought about it and then did nothing about it. And as far as another book, I know certain people have been bugging me to do it again and write another book. The first book was written so quickly after winning Worlds. Basically, my agent told me that they knew of 2 other books that were being written about me already. I don't know how they knew that. I don't know if it was true. Who knows? But all of a sudden, we were writing this Forcing the Edge book, and we wrote it so quickly and changed it, and I rewrote it, and they rewrote it. I don't know. And it's kind of like a cute young book about a young athlete, but it's not a real book. And if I wrote a book now, it would be a real book. And a real book means telling stories about other people. It's not people that are not real. It's real people. And so I don't think I'll ever write a book. It's just real stuff that happened with real people that I still know. And I don't think that it's cool to write about that. So I don't think I'll be doing it.
Okay, Josh Null is asking, what was your favorite Stars on Ice group number?
Come on. There's no way. Gosh, there were just, they're all great. They're all so much fun. They had some every once in a while that you just didn't really jive with, or that you just weren't very good at. I mean, choreographer comes in and kind of hands you something and you're like, I'm just not that good at this. So of course you don't enjoy it as much. But generally speaking, they're all fun in different ways. There was the cowboy one with all the guys in Stars and Ice, and we had cowboy hats, and it was, we were all sexy cowboys and, doing all sorts of cool stuff with leather gloves. And I think, and somebody might argue with me, but I think it was my idea to put Velcro here and Velcro right on our buckles. So we finished the number and went like this and they stayed. And I think that was my idea. So that one was one of my favorite group numbers that we ever did. Chairman with Christopher Dean, Red Hat with Christopher Dean, Rolling Stones, The Beatles, just so many, so good. Group numbers is where the fun is had.
Marcy Cooper asks, is there anyone who you wish you could have skated with who you never got to work with?
I always thought that when I don't know why, when I was a very young skater, I got hooked on Gillis Grafstrom, Grafstrom, Gillis Grafstrom, who won everything. And I sort of mentioned him a couple times. He just dressed so cool back then. Everybody dressed so cool. I had a feeling that I would have loved to have met him and seen what that era of skating was like. But I think somebody that I haven't, can it be somebody nowadays?
Sure.
Because I've skated with almost everybody. I have never really done anything with Nathan Chen. And he seems like a really cool guy on the ice. So it would be kind of neat to get to know him and meet him and work with him and see what that would have been like. Would have loved to have skated with Barbara Ann Scott. That would have been cool. Really cool.
We have this question from a few different people. Karen Kuvari, Andy Bruinsma are asking about music. Do you choose music first, get an idea for choreography first, character first? How does that generally work?
Well, it was literally hundreds and hundreds of programs over the years, and different ways of getting to grandma's house, I call it. You know, you can take the highway, you can take a helicopter, you can walk, you can crawl, you can roll. So where do you start? You usually start at home, but even that doesn't really work because, like you said, do you start with the music or do you start with the concept? Do you start with the choreographer? So the best ones are ones that you believe in, but some of the very best ones are some that we've just sort of fallen into as well. So I usually start with the music, and I think most people do. And you could just hear a piece of music. One for I'm Yours by Jason Mraz. I just decided I'm picking my music this year, or one of my solos this year, from the radio. Because I usually pick older music, or I pick music that I like, and I'm going to pick something that's current and that people are listening to on the radio right now. So as I was driving, I just started, keeping track of whatever I was listening to. And when that song came on, I went, I could see myself skating to that. And then the idea of saying, I'm yours, audience, I'm here for you, I'm yours. And then all of a sudden I had a direction and away I went. And so it was the lyric when he kept saying, I'm yours, and over again, that created that program. So it was like a little story that found itself. So I made a rule, and the rule was I had to skate with something off the radio. And so that's where it started. This year I was going to skate to a Tragically Hip song because I realized I had skated to 2 hip songs, one by Gord Sinclair and one by the group that they didn't have any lyrics to yet. And that was Antares. But I've never skated to a Tragically Hip song that's been on an album. So I thought, how have I never done that? All right. Who knows how much longer I'm going to skate? I'm skating to a hip song. And Longtime Running was taken by Tessa and Scott. And so I just started listening to the hip. And there really, shockingly, wasn't that many songs that were going to work or worked for me. And there was really only 2 or 3 to choose from after all that years of listening to their music. So I will hopefully someday be skating that program. And Jessie Caron is choreographing it, and she's a dancer, the same one that helped me with Caitlin Osmond. And we're going to do it that way. It's different every time. It's fun to be handed a challenge by a choreographer. When we did Naya, for example, now I'm really talking. When we did Naya, for example, a long time ago, Roberto Campanella was with the National Ballet Canada, and he wanted me at the end of the program, which was already really unusual, and there wasn't jumps, and it was very sensual and boastful and strong. And then he wanted me to just clap at center ice, turning and getting the audience to start clapping. And I was like dead set against it. I'm like, that's not going to work. I don't feel good about this. And he talked me into it. And it turned out to be one of the cooler things that I'd ever done, and one of the most horrifying experiences every night. And I loved being scared. I loved being scared of that moment. And sometimes the audience would get clapping so fast that I couldn't keep up. And sometimes I actually had to encourage them. Every night was a different experience. So every time you choreograph is also a different experience. And it's a wonderful challenge. With Javier Fernandez, I wanted the audience to learn who he was, to hear his voice and to know that he's fun-loving and this amazing guy. And so Super Happy was my way of finding a route to people getting to know him better. So it's fun. Choreography is an amazing journey. Frustrating at times, but starts and ends differently every time.
Aaron DeBoer asks, is there a piece of music that you started choreographing to only to realize it wasn't working or wasn't a good fit?
Bolero. And it was a choreographer, I won't say his name, but I don't know whose idea was it, his or mine? I think it was mine to skate to Bolero. And we finished it, and I never did it once. I just didn't believe in it. So I've had 2 or 3 big programs that I've paid real choreographers lots of money and traveled and flown and got hotels and, like a real investment. And I've used them either once or actually never. So not everything gets to be performed in my world. I don't perform it unless I have no choice. I mean, I might not believe wholeheartedly in everything that I perform because I don't really have a choice, or it just didn't turn out the way I wanted it to. But there are times when I have invested thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars into a number that I never did. And so Bolero was one of them, for example. It just didn't click. I didn't believe in it, and I didn't do it. So, and no one's ever asked me that question. It's another great question, really good, interesting question. Awesome.
Katie Rose Devine.
Feeling only that I can't see any of you, but okay, as long as you're out there, right? Having fun?
They are out there.
I feel like I'm talking to myself in an echoey room.
Katie Rose Devine has a question, but she's actually in the hospital right now having her first baby as she watches this. She says it's making her happy and calm.
Okay, first time for everything. All right, Katie, good luck. Hope everything turns out all right. Wow.
Her question is, she would love to know your thoughts in general on the current state of Canadian men's figure skating. How can we, again, elevate to world-class elite level? So,
well,
Katie and the baby.
I mean, there's a reason why the world-class elite level is small. I mean, it's really rare to have anybody like Daisuke Takahashi or, like Pushenko, whoever, like they're just rare. They just don't happen very often. And, Canada had 5 or 6 of them almost in a row. So if we're having a little break right now and that just is logic. Certainly Nam won Junior Worlds, been top 5 in the world, I believe. And what can you do if you just get stuck in the crush of a whole bunch of people getting access to the flip lutz and loop quad now, like is happening, then all of a sudden you're like, I'm on par for fighting for a medal at Worlds, and then all of a sudden, oh, I'm fighting for 8th or 9th, like that. And that's just what sport is. You just don't really know. And so I think we have to be patient. Steven Gogolev is, very young still, hopefully staying healthy. I haven't heard a lot about him lately, but still a phenom. And a couple of other our skaters are very exciting. And if they can just take what they know about the singular quad that they have and transfer it to other ones, then they're going to be competitive. But you have to be patient because Canada's maybe had our trip to the well quite a few times in that area. And we just have to be patient. But we got some great kids.
Craig Drebbett wants to know what became of the special gold medal that was made for you?
It would take me a while to dig it out, but I still have it kind of under the floorboards kind of a situation, or tucked away in the safe in the wall. It's a very amazing medal that was made, to educate some of you, by Canadians and others, I guess, sending in chunks of broken gold or broken earrings or whatever it might be. And it turned out to be a bit of a masterpiece of pure gold, pretty much. So it's too awesome. I mean, I can't even display it. It's worth a lot of money, and I have taken it to events, and I have taken pictures of it and put it online sometimes, but it's mostly just in the bank, and that in the safety deposit box. It's just, it's almost too amazing. I don't really know what to do with it. I'm sure it'll end up in a museum someday. But that's where it is. I'll say it's at the bank. It's over there.
Sharing Cars asks, do you miss figures?
Oh, I miss the idea of figures. I mean, it's been so long. It's kind of like saying, do you miss your hair? You just sort of make peace with it and away you go. Figures were tough at first because I was young and got bored. And then over time, Michael Uranic, my coach, who loved figures, just taught me to appreciate the concentration, the quality, the difficulty. And when I do them now, even with my old figure boots, who I got sharpened and everything, and I put them on, and I cannot get what was called a flat, where both blades, there's an arc, and then there's a left and right edge, right? And so we're supposed to ride just on one edge at a time. And as we're coming back to center, it's really easy to have the other one touch. To make a long story short, I don't know how we did them. I don't know how we did them at that level. We must have practiced them for hours and hours and hours a day, which is what we did. And I miss the idea of them, the reality of them, not as much. And I can go back and do some figures and kind of remember. But they took up so much time to get good, so much time. But I think it made us strong. I think it made us physically strong to hold our legs and to hold the balance and hold your core all like for 45 minutes straight. I think they were kind of more of a workout than we thought at the time.
Diana asks, if you could go back in time and repeat a competition, which would you pick? Oh,
Worlds 89, for sure. To just slip back into my younger self and just relive it. It was an intense time because I had beaten Fadeev, Chris Bowman, Viktor Petrenko. I had beaten everybody that was ahead of me in ranking at least once that year. So in my simplified mind, I thought, well, then I can just beat them all in one place and be world champion. And I knew that if I was top 5 in figures that I could make that happen. So I was 5th in figures. And then, just so brazen, so brave and strong, so young, just sort of swept the long and swept the short and took the world title. It would be really fun to know everything I know now and then slip back in and just relive it. That would be awesome. Even better than Halifax, because Halifax, I had a sore toe and I couldn't skate. I was in such pain and I had a tough year, didn't know how to be a world champion. I was in Canada, I was nervous, I was scared. It was not an enjoyable experience, but Paris was, so I would like to do that. And another fantastic question, like quite a few questions that no one's ever asked me, and really thought-provoking and emotional, memory-stirring questions. Very cool.
And we are over time, so I'm going to ask one more question. Well, the 2-part question from Vicky Kalujar. What are your plans for the summer, and has your arena opened up yet?
Yeah, I think I have access to the cricket club maybe, but I have not been home, and I kind of don't really, I'm assuming there's only 10 people out on the ice. So I don't think that somebody who has Battle of the Blades coming in late September deserves to take a spot up. But I might have to start coming every once in a while just to keep my skating going. So I haven't really been skating. Summer is reserved for sunshine and, just being close to the boys and staying in shape off the ice. So I've been doing that. But summer is a quiet time, and I plan on keeping it just like that again, nice and quiet.
Great. Well, thank you for doing this, Kurt. I know everyone really appreciates it and loved seeing those costumes. A lot of people saying that they would come to your yard sale.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I have a dream someday that when I'm officially done, that I'm going to host seminars at my house. And this will be the first time I think I've told anybody about this stupid dream. But really expensive seminars where we all stay together for like 5 days, just adults. Lots of wine, lots of cheese, lots of grapes, lots of stories, and that I set up like special guests coming in, and we literally just kind of do this. And we watch skating on TV, and and it's a way for me to continue making money doing what I do, which is entertaining and talking about skating and having fun. So that's kind of one of the reasons why I've collected everything. And one of the reasons why I'm organizing, well, for me personally, but organizing all my photos for the last few weeks. And I've just finished a blog for Skate Ontario that is where I wrote about that. 2 blogs for Skate Ontario, so watch for them coming out. And it sounds kind of silly, but like host a party. And so talk about this costumes and bring Donald Jackson in, or invite Christy Yamaguchi or whatever it might be, and have fun, and see if it's a viable source of income or not. But that's you people out there, and I can't see you, which really bugs me, but I did want to take this opportunity to say that I am very casual about this stuff. I mean, at times I get reverent about my career and everything that's happened to me and about the sport. But generally speaking, I'm pretty casual about it. But I want to take this opportunity to say thank you. I mean, the story that my dad told me about how all the cars get into the parking lot, and not by accident, that, you know, everybody makes a choice to come to a show. They make a choice to spend money out of their pockets for a ticket, to buy popcorn, to take time out of their lives, or as Dad said, carve time out of their lives to spend it watching you skate, doing something you already love anyways. So I'm one of the luckiest people on the planet. And so while I don't know how many of you here, but because it's personal and it's my face, I wanted to say thank you for all the support that you've given me, and just the interest in the sport, the curiosity about what I have to offer the sport. And you know, we many times get to rinks and practice for 5 days, but it doesn't matter until you guys show up on Friday night, and then it's real. And you are what make it real. You are what make the stories happen, and the motivation for the creativity and the longevity and all of that. So a big whopping thank you to everybody who tuned in, everybody who didn't. Tina, for, you know, making this crazy place where a lot of people with a lot of similarities can come together. And I don't often sort of jump in and splurge, but I knew that today, this is one of the things I wanted to say was definitely thank you. And it's appreciated, even if it's if I seem underwhelmed at times, but it's truly appreciated. And I hope that that appreciation comes through mostly on the ice. And thank you very much. I love you all. Save me, Sharilyn.
Thank you, Kurt. And we're saying goodbye to Facebook.
We are? Okay, bye. Gotta go back and mow the lawn.